So,
I've just been hearing lots of talking about impact from all three of you, really, and it's obviously the big thing that's coming down, or specifically from the UK government at the moment. I was at the EPSRC and they're all scrabbling around repackaging what they were doing anyway and calling it impact. But I just wondered if, as this part of this impact thing, support services and personal development, are you starting to look beyond just science and R&D? And if people are working, say, VCs, or I'm in marketing, and if they want to work to promote, say, science in a region, is there any remit for any kind of funding for projects like that within your organisations? Because there is arguably impact if you get a group, if there's more VC funding, or there's more, or the region's better marketed.
Certainly with the Technology Strategy Board, and I'll let the others sort of scratch their heads while I'm talking, it wouldn't tend to be high on our list of priorities, I think. It's essentially looking through technologies for that type of thing. If within a particular technology area, it might be more in that innovation platforms area, I think, particularly it may be. That would be in the scope of the competition, in which case that would be essentially where what we're looking for, really, and it relates to the strategic criteria I was talking about, is the capability of developing and exploiting the technology. So the sort of very simplistic model is that you're going to do some research, which at the end of the day ends up on a shelf or a warehouse that you can buy.
But it's like that.
Yeah, so that's sort of more, if you like, sort of general, more societal type of advantage. Less so, I think, would be our inclination. But I think all I could say there is you need to just sort of keep your eye on, the particular slant of anything else. I don't know, maybe the Southwest.
We spoke about this earlier, but I think what we tend to, especially in the innovation team, if we've got a good case study that we can use for people to sort of buy into a product, then we will use it. For example, we had Simon this morning presenting how the project impacted his idea of his business, telling you, how our intervention helped. And we try and get something different at every type of event, and hopefully that feeds back directly. We also do press releases on how our scheme has impacted within the region. We've got a large sort of marketing and publicity team who do, corporate PR, which they tend to have that on how they promote the agency. Just like get good news out there, that we are making a difference. And they're the kind of people you need to plug into to see what involvement you can have, or whether there's been funding available to bring you on board.
Yeah, I think my question was more like, let's say Southwest wants to become the head of low energy, or a centre for low energy, and if that's also an EU and UK priority, then that was kind of more the niching it down, really, those kind of projects.
We have more, certainly transport, it's socio-economic research is either implicit or explicit in the topics. They will actually say that they want, say, customer or user behaviour, towards something. I know that I mentioned there's the demonstration projects as well. For example, there's a big project that they're going to fund 23 million euros on demonstrating, I think it's electric vehicles and public transport in a number of cities. And part of that, the member states have asked that there's much more research into the impact on behaviour. There's also the coordination support actions, which now and again will come out with they want, and this is 100% funded, where they will want studies or collaboration, coordination in a certain area, and one of those this time is jobs, creation of jobs in relation to the Green Car Initiative. So it's not just about R&D anymore, it's about using the technology program, the technology funding to meet to societal needs. It's like these challenges thing that Jim mentioned. How can we use this money in different ways? And it is very much about helping SMEs develop and creation of jobs and education.
Jim, you mentioned the low success rate in the advanced manufacturing call or competition from the TSB.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to tighten up the pre-filtering at the expression of interest stage to reduce the amount of wasted time spent on proposals that don't make it?
It's a bit ironic, really, because we think, and I'll take, prepared to discuss it, we've tried to make the initial entry as easy as possible. And clearly one of the consequences is that it is easier, therefore the success ratio has gone down. we haven't got any specific plans at the moment. We're sort of trying to think. What do we do? Do we, the sort of, we've tried to be as open and as simple as possible. We also try to be pretty firm that if you're in the full stage, you've got a 50-50 chance of funding. So, if you get that far, it's worth doing that bit of effort, we believe. Whether we put a bit more energy or so into sort of filtering out people, but then you're almost adding a third stage into a process, because one of the things, and it sort of compares a little bit with Cliff's model of his clock, where it takes you nearly 12 months, to get that first round of funding, where we try to be as quick as possible. I think the key to me, and one of the things I'm trying to stress back up with the board, is that when we announce a particular competition, we actually also ideally announce the next iteration of that competition. So you get less people, there isn't that sort of cliff edge effect whereby if I don't apply now, I don't know when the next one is, which is certainly, I think, one thing we're not very good at. So that's my main thrust. I try to encourage this idea of an optional expression of interest where you put it in, we turn it around within 3 days. I mean, you're not going to get sort of definitely high quality feedback, but you are going to get a quick cut as to whether you're in scope or not. So they're the sort of activities I'm really going for. But it is difficult. I mean, what do we do? We're actually, half of our organisation is going out to encourage even more people to bid in, and I'm saying great, but actually I've got enough people bidding in already. So I think, to me, trying to get better advance notice, looking sort of 2 to 3 years ahead, cut down there, encouraging people to use the optional EOI process, maybe trying to improve a bit on our feedback as well, so that if you have been a participant, you get some reasonable quality feedback, because I don't think we've quite got that right. All those things add up, but it's at the same time as we're actually trying to encourage. Personally, what I'd be looking to, and I'm trying to run this, but I'm not sure I've got a great deal of support, is to try to run something that is only for people who've never had any funding with us before. A sort of maiden handicap, if you like, in sort of racing terms, which the board's a great idea, but no one's quite come up with, sort of writing the thing there. But there isn't really an easy answer to that. If you're looking into a bio competition with us, you've probably got a 30% chance of success. If you're looking at materials and manufacturing, maybe even creative industries as well, you're probably down in the 10 or 12%. Our average is about 17.5 across the board, which actually compares pretty much with research councils. I think they're around about 18%, but they're playing in a much closed space. Okay.